So are you saying that one day we won't age?
Oh, yes, I am saying that. That's my main goal in life. And it's going to take probably more than just lengthening telomeres and keeping mitochondria healthy. It's going to take maybe cryogenics to work, somebody to figure out how to do that, or whole brain emulation, which is, if you drive off a cliff, your brain gets uploaded to a computer, and then they pick up cells from the tissues down at the bottom of the cliff and make a clone of you, and then upload your brain back into that body.
What?
Welcome to Up One, the podcast where we take a deep dive into the science behind supplements, therapies, and diagnostics. I'm Sawyer Stone, your guide through the maze of health claims, here to ask the big questions.
And I'm Dr. Bill Andrews. With decades of experience in medical research, I've dedicated my career to uncovering the real science behind disease, aging, and human health. On this podcast, we don't just skim the surface of scientific studies. We conduct a critical meta-analysis, separating credible research from misleading conclusions.
There's a lot of noise out there, conflicting studies, bold claims, and endless marketing. Up One is here to cut through it all and bring you science-backed insights that you can actually trust.
We're talking prevention, diagnostics, treatments, and the big questions shaping the future of health.
If you're serious about understanding the science of health and longevity without the fluff, let's take it up one.
Hello, Dr. Bill.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Well, this is our last episode of this season, so we've
I
been
know.
through a lot together.
Yeah.
But I think this is going to be a powerful episode because I'm very, very passionate about the subject we're talking about, mitochondria health.
Yeah, I've definitely heard you talk about it, so I know you are, and I'm excited to get to chat with you about it. I'm a little having like a little bit of some bittersweet feelings because this is our last episode of season 1 of the Up One podcast. So it's a little bittersweet. We'll be back. Don't you worry. We're going to come back and haunt your earbuds and talk about science.
Many seasons to come. There's so much left.
Many seasons to come.
About.
I know. I feel like we did pick like a subject matter that's endless. Like we could go on forever about it. I think today we're going to break down and hopefully simplify the health and function of mitochondria, aka the powerhouse of the cell. Can you tell us, like in simple terms, what a mitochondria is, are, what they be, where they come from, all the things?
You just described it pretty well. It is the powerhouse of the cell.
I did go to science class. I don't, that's about all I got though.
But it's not the only source of power in the cell, but it is the majority of power that comes from in our cells. It's something that somehow got in our cells from a long time ago. Apparently, some predecessor, if we talk about evolution, some predecessor to humans when we were probably single cells, engulfed something called an alpha protobacterium, and that bacterium became permanent inside that cell that ate it, and that became the power source of our cells. We do have other ways, and that was most important when oxygen entered the atmosphere, because beforehand we were getting our power from anaerobic respiration, and then this allowed us to get power from aerobic respiration, which is a lot better because it's a lot more energy. But mitochondria are small little things. There's 100 per cell, let's say, on average. Some cells have a lot more, some cells have less, depending on how much power they need. But when you look in the microscope, you can actually see them, and you can actually you can look inside of a cell. You can see these small little. They look like bacteria inside our cells, and they're complex. They have an inner membrane and an outer membrane, and they're all involved with the production of adenosine triphosphate, ATP, which is the main energy source, main storage thing for energy in the human body. There's other ways of storing energy, like NAD and FAD and NADP and things like that. But ATP is the most flexible, the easiest one to control for the cell to control, the easiest one to distribute to different places. But if you want me to just keep talking, I can talk and talk and talk. Tell me when I've answered the question sufficiently.
No, you did for sure. I just want to go back and clarify. So the structure of the mitochondria is like bacteria-like, and it has an outer membrane and an inner membrane.
Yes.
And it is helping us breathe.
Yeah,
process oxygen.
Well, oxygen is the source of a lot of the source. I mean, that's more common. Glucose is the main source, but
I see.
Oxygen is required for the mitochondria to actually function. Okay. And,
okay, I'm here now.
And so if you are lacking oxygen, your sugars that actually, when you eat a sugar, it goes through glycolysis, ends up as pyruvate, and then pyruvate used to just go off to become anaerobic respiration, and that would cause lactic acid buildup, and that's why we get pain in our muscles when we're running, because of lack of we're not getting enough oxygen, so our body goes to this anaerobic respiration. But now, because of mitochondria, we now can take that pyruvate, enter what's called the Krebs cycle, which is actually inside all the membranes inside the mitochondria. The Krebs cycle just produces NADH, NADH, and then that goes to this process called the oxidative phosphorylation, which is the electron transport chain, which converts all that NADH, or converts that NADH into ATP through a process that I can explain pretty thoroughly, but I don't know if we want to get into that much detail, but that's the main goal. And so,
yeah,
you know what, the analogy that I really like is, if you think of Lake Mead, which is a lake just west or east of Las Vegas. If you think of Lake Mead as not filled with water, but filled with hydrogen, or more, let's say NADH, which is a storage of hydrogen. And then Hoover Dam is ATP synthase, which is part of the membrane of mitochondria. So the water, like the hydrogen inside of Lake Mead rushes down Hoover Dam, and during that process generates energy in the form of ATP.
Right.
And the outcome is hydrogen, and there's also water that's produced from the entire electron transport chain. So it's a very interesting thing, and very exciting to learn all about it in high school and college and stuff like that. It's like mind blowing.
Yeah. Okay, that was good. I needed that because I did not major in anything that needed a science class, and so this has like been since high school for me. So thank you for that refresher. And I like the Hoover Dam, Lake Mead. That was good. Good. Okay. So getting back to like how the mitochondria affects the human body or our bodies, like does poor mitochondrial function create a chain reaction that leads to bigger issues? Like, what would those issues be? Is it something like fatigue? Does it speed up the visual signs of aging? Like, if our mitochondrial health isn't great, like we got gray hair and wrinkles. Tell me what's up with that.
Well, it does two things, but the most important thing first is that it causes the membranes. Okay, so we talk about two membranes, but they're not like two membranes in a typical bacteria. One membrane is like totally inside, and it's like a big like loop of all kinds of things to increase the surface area as much as possible. And then there's the outer membrane. But the inner membrane has to keep, let's say, free radicals inside, because free radicals is something that results a lot from the process, all the way from glycolysis, Krebs cycle, electron transport. And so the free radicals have to be kept inside, but and also the hydrogen that released from the NAD has to be pumped to the outside of the membrane to form a gradient, so the outside is more positive than the inside. I know I'm getting too technical. I don't know how else to do it, but the
No, I think you have to. Yeah,
that,
yeah.
that gradient is what drives the hydrogen through the ATP synthase system. But the key is that when the membranes get weak or start falling apart, then electrons, free radicals, can seep through the membrane and cause a lot of oxidative damage. People talk about oxidative damage to the mitochondria DNA, but that's only a small part of it. The free radicals that leak cause oxidative damage throughout the cell. And so that's a cause of poor health. You're going to find I don't like talking about mitochondria causing aging. I like talking about mitochondria causing poor health. And I think that poor health could be more a result of aging, not the cause of aging. Though there's a lot of theories on aging saying that we age because of accumulation of DNA damage caused by free radicals. But if you listen to some of our previous podcasts, you'll understand why I don't really understand how that's causing aging. But because we should have the ability to get rid of those cells, and our declining ability to get rid of those damaged cells with the damaged DNA that is really the cause of aging. Okay, so now when the pumps start working to pump the NAD or the hydrogen outside the membranes, when that stops working, what also stops working is the Hoover Dam, is the pump that pumps the hydrogen back into it's not a pump, but it flows through because of the charge gradient between the inner and outer side. But it goes through less often and generates less ATP. And as a result, the dysfunctional mitochondria generate less ATP, so you have less energy, and it creates more free radicals. So you have a lot more damage to tissues and things like that.
Yeah. Okay, so then you're not saying that it speeds up the visual signs of aging, because you're saying that you're not a fan of the idea that the two are linked.
I do think it speeds up the aging, but but that's not the cause. It's like we have this great inborn ability to repair our wear and tear. Okay.
Right.
And so free radicals cause wear and tear, which cause damages, but we have just great abilities through cell division to replace all that wear and tear. And so I think so we shouldn't age if we can constantly remove those damaged cells and replace them with new cells. But as you smile, I know you're hearing me thinking telomeres, because I think the main cause of aging, and there's no way I'm going to change my mind on this, I think the main cause of aging is telomere shortening, and that's also the main reason why mitochondria cause damage. And also is, I think, the main reason why we have to protect our telomeres to maintain good telomere health. And I wasn't going to jump into that so soon because I wanted to talk a little more about mitochondria, but
we can go back to mitochondria. You go in.
Yeah,
go in on your telomere.
Okay, right now we've made major strides in telomere biology, but we're not 100% there yet. Okay. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm still working on trying to solve the telomere shortening problem. But until then, I'm doing a lot to protect my mitochondrial health as much as I can. So I take urolithin A all the time. And I'll explain what that is. And after I get through with the list, because I'm trying to think, I take nicotinamide riboside every day. I take CoQ10, I take PQQ. I do whatever I can to induce my PGC1 alpha and beta. And I do everything that the Kaufman protocol says about helping your mitochondria. We had Dr. Sandra Kaufman on a previous podcast, but and that was on menopause, but not only is she an expert on that, but she's written the best book ever on the subject of supplements to take, called the Kaufman protocol. And I used to speak at medical conferences and go through all these supplements and why you take them and things like that. And now I just say, go read the Kaufman
Go
protocol.
read the, yeah.
Yeah, you don't have
Yeah.
to read the whole thing because it directs you into what pages to go, given who you are and things like that. So that's why I really like it. But it's really good. So I take everything else, and I can't remember them all, but I take everything
Yeah.
else that Dr. Kaufman recommends. But let's talk. So let's talk about urolithin A for a second. Okay, so urolithin A is a great way to induce the removal of dysfunctional mitochondria. Okay, when the mitochondria start failing, becoming dysfunctional, start producing too many free radicals and start not producing enough ATP, there are systems in the mitochondria and the cell that help identify those. People probably would like to hear me talk about things like PINK1 and Parkin and ubiquination and proteasomes and things like that are involved in getting rid of it. I'll skip all that. At least,
Sure. Sure.
at least they know I know the words. But it's so urolithin. So we already have the ability to get rid of dysfunctional mitochondria through those words I just mentioned.
Yeah.
But they work more efficiently when you use urolithin A, and that's really important to get rid of dysfunctional mitochondria. Now, our cells have the ability to then make new mitochondria. And let's say what's really exciting is mitochondria is like unique in some senses. I'm unaware of anything else that does this. They actually can, when a mitochondria duplicates itself, it doesn't duplicate it like other cells do. Let's say mitochondria were once cells. They go through a process of fission and fusion. But the key thing is that if the DNA is damaged, it does not replicate that DNA for the new mitochondria. Okay, it gets it elsewhere. Okay, and that's really exciting. So really, getting mitochondrial biogenesis does not duplicate the mutations that occur in mitochondria, which is really good for us.
Yeah.
Now, here's the problem: is that in order to replace, to build new mitochondria, you need good telomere health. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. It's like there's nothing, if our telomeres are bad, there's nothing we can really do to help our mitochondria health. We have to maintain our telomere health in order to do the other things. And I believe, and of course I can only guess right now but I strongly believe that when we have even better telomerase inducers than we have now, we may not have any mitochondria dysfunction at all either, because a lot of the mitochondria dysfunction occurs from things that happen from short telomeres. And so
are you saying that one day we won't age?
Oh, yes, I am saying that. That's my main goal in life. And I mean, it's going to take probably more than just lengthening telomeres and keeping mitochondria healthy. It's going to take maybe cryogenics to work better, or somebody to figure out how to do that, or whole brain emulation, which is, if you drive off a cliff, your brain gets uploaded to a computer, and then they pick up cells from the tissues down at the bottom of the cliff and make a clone of you, and then upload your brain back into that body. Those are the things that it might take. I mean, we should have Randall Coney on one of these calls sometimes. In episode 2, he's the world's leader on whole brain emulation, and Elon Musk is doing a lot of work on that too, and so is Dan Stoicescu, another billionaire. But it's the future. Okay, so I think that, I believe in what Dr. Terry Grossman one time quoted a phrase called "live long enough to live forever." And that's what I think everybody should be doing.
Sure.
And so that's what I'm doing, because I want to be around when all these others come along. I don't want somebody to figure out how to cure aging, but I'm already dead. So
right.
Getting back on subject. I started off a tangent there. So what people don't know, and by the way, people often will say mitochondria are the main cause of aging and things like that. That's help keep your mitochondria healthy and reverse aging. But really, the only people that say that are the people that are marketing mitochondria products. Okay, it's not really true. Okay, and part of what's going on here is that people don't realize that 99% of all the proteins that make up a mitochondria are encoded by the nuclear chromosome. Okay, so we have
Oh,
to keep our nuclear chromosome healthy to keep our mitochondria healthy. And one of the main causes of poor nuclear chromosome health is short telomeres. When telomeres get short, they start causing all kinds of, I call it skyrocketing mutation rates that really damage our DNA. So we got to keep telomeres long. And then when that happens, it damages the proteins that are part of the mitochondria, since there's 15,000 approximately genes on our chromosomes. Okay, we have
yeah,
25,000 different genes total, but 15,
right.
I'm sorry, not 15,000, 1,500. So
1,500.
1,500 genes on our chromosomes are responsible for making up the mitochondria. So we got to keep those genes healthy. We got to keep those genes turned on. The skyrocketing mutation rates make those unhealthy, caused by short telomeres. But also telomeres are like something called enhancer sequences that are found throughout our chromosomes. And a recent publication just came out. I've been saying this for 30 years, but a recent publication just came out this year that supports all this theory too, and shows it actually, that telomeres actually will fold over, come in contact with genes on your chromosomes, and turn them on or off, depending on what the gene is. And
What?
yeah, that's what enhancer we've known. Like I remember in the 1970s learning about enhancer sequences, and that's really well understood. Enhancers are regions of our DNA that can be 100,000 bases away from a gene. The DNA can fold over. Proteins will bind to the enhancer. Proteins will bind to the promoter, which I like to call a dimmer switch, and
Yeah.
will come in contact with one another and then turn the gene on, and suddenly the gene gets read. Okay, telomeres have all the hallmarks of enhancer sequences. I've known this for 30 years. Even the histones that bind to telomeres are exactly the same histones that bind to enhancer sequences. The big difference between enhancer sequences in the chromosomes and telomeres is that telomeres shorten. And so as they
Right.
shorten, the ability to regulate the
Sure.
genes decreases because the telomeres can't reach as far. Okay, but that's
That is
another reason why
crazy.
we have to keep our telomeres long. And there's a great publication by Dr. Ron DePinel. I mean, he also was the doctor that put our telomerase promoting system into engineered mice to show what he called a remarkable reversal of aging on Diane Sawyer. But he also published a
Yeah.
paper showing that telomere length controls what's called expression of PGC1 alpha and its family of proteins.
Okay.
PGC1 alpha are like the master switches of the mitochondria genes. Okay, so
Okay.
when telomeres get short, PGC1 alpha doesn't get produced as much, and therefore it doesn't turn on the other mitochondria genes that make up the mitochondria.
Huh.
PQQ helps with that. PQQ helps with regenerating PGC1 alpha, but it's still not as efficient as it was before when telomeres were long. So
Mm.
if we really want to increase our mitochondria health, we have to figure out ways of really lengthening our telomeres. And we have come up with some great you're, I'm sure, very familiar with Telovital, which is the latest product we came up with. I actually have a bottle
Yeah.
here right there, but I'm sure
Very
they're going
pretty.
to promote that. But Telovital will induce the expression of telomerase to
Yeah.
lengthen telomeres. And it's not going to win the tug of war between telomere lengthening and shortening, but it will sure slow it down, and therefore slow down the decline of mitochondria health. And also, we've known that from so much anecdotal data, we think what's happening is that the critically short telomeres are actually getting longer, and there's several publications promoting this, including one by one of the Nobel Prize winners, Carol Greider, showing that telomerase preferentially lengthens the shortest telomeres. And I know we're going on tangents here, but I think of telomeres as like a ball of yarn. And when the telomere is long, the ball of yarn is big. And So telomerase can't get to the tip of the telomere that's buried inside that ball of yarn to lengthen it. But when
Right.
telomeres get critically short, that ball of yarn falls apart. It becomes easier for telomerase to get there. So even though we're not winning the tug of war with the longer ones, we are producing enough telomerase to lengthen the critically short telomeres. And since
Right.
in humans, at least, telomerase is called processive. So once it binds, it keeps lengthening. It doesn't fall off like in mice. It lengthens a little, falls off, comes back on, falls off again. So telomeres could get really long, and that might be why we're seeing a lot of what I'm seeing. And I'd be blind not to ignore it. I'd be blind to ignore it. We are seeing a lot of age reversal from even televital, even though
Very exciting.
yeah, I know it is. I'm looking forward to further studies to really figure out, is this televital something way beyond what we thought it would be? But getting back to telomere, televital is probably the best thing anybody could be doing right now for their telomere health. But
Yeah.
getting back to telomeres, when telomeres get short, PGC1 alpha shuts off. It's a gene on the nuclear chromosome. That PGC1 alpha then regulates other genes on the chromosomes that are involved in mitochondria health. And that's how healthy mitochondria come from. It turns out mitochondria also have its own DNA. It's a circular DNA. And so it has no telomeres, but it only has 13 genes. So relative to the 1,500 genes on the nuclear chromosome
Right.
make up the mitochondria. Only has 13. And those 13 are all involved in the electron transport chain, which is what did I mention before? Sends hydrogen on the outside, makes ATP.
Yeah.
And even those don't make up all the components of the complexes. There's 5 complexes, 4 if you don't count ATP synthase. There's 4 complexes in the mitochondrial membrane that actually are involved in pumping hydrogen outside the inner membrane to create the gradient. And I know I'm getting very technical and things. People might have to go to Google and read up things to catch up on everything I'm saying. But it's like even if all the mitochondria DNA were healthy and the nuclear chromosomes weren't healthy, those complexes still won't work because most of the proteins in those complexes come from the nuclear chromosome. So it's everything comes back to the telomere. But mitochondria is very important. That's why I do everything I can to maintain mitochondria health as much as possible. And I got to say, my favorites are urolithin A and nicotinamide riboside. I mean, I think those are the best things anybody could be doing. But I take CoQ10 and PQQ and all the other stuff every day. And I was mentioning controlling PGC1 alpha. I think I already mentioned this. PQQ also does that, and lengthening telomeres does that too.
I see. That's so fascinating. Well, okay, so we know how the mitochondria is affecting our cellular health. Can you tell me a little bit about like mitochondrial dysfunction and how it accelerates our body's oxidative stress? Because we know that the oxidative stress is going to lead to aging. And so can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's the membranes falling apart and the leakage of free radicals outside the mitochondria. Okay, now we do, so that's a good reason to be also taking all your antioxidants, okay, especially alpha lipoic acid, which is very good for getting everywhere, including the free radicals inside the mitochondria. Okay, so which damage the mitochondria DNA. I take alpha lipoic acid, I take GCGC, what is it? The one in green tea extract, I always get the letters mixed up. I take, I can't even remember all the free antioxidants I take, but, I take NAC, which, N-acetylcysteine it's called.
Yeah, I just learned about that this week.
Well, that produces glutathione inside your cells. And
okay,
I've never understood why people take glutathione, why they spend all that money to take glutathione when N-acetylcysteine would do the same thing. And it's like 1,000, if not 10,000 times cheaper. Okay.
That's crazy. Maybe they just don't know. Maybe you're educating
well,
them.
the marketers, it's all marketing.
God, it really is.
Yeah.
Take all of this. Take our whole line. Do all of this.
I'm glad I'm good at critical meta-analysis of peer-reviewed studies, because that's how I know that glutathione is just a marketing thing. And I take N-acetylcysteine to produce my glutathione. But we also have superoxide dismutase inside of our cells that get rid of the free radicals. What do you call it? Superoxygen. I can't remember the name of it, but the oxygen radicals that are really damaging. Superoxide dismutase gets rid of those. So in addition to all the things I mentioned before for mitochondrial health, you should take your antioxidants, because they help relieve the problems that dysfunctional mitochondria cause. And that's the leakage of free radicals into the cell that wreak havoc everywhere. And you'd said that, that leads to aging. Yes, it does, but only because our telomeres are shortening. Okay?
Right.
It wouldn't, because we can constantly be replacing these damaged tissues and cells if we will keep our telomeres long and stuff like that. But yeah, until we have something that really knocks your socks off with telomere lengthening, I recommend all these products to prevent mitochondria decline.
Yeah. Maybe we need like a Bill's list of products, Dr. Bill's list of products.
I think Dr. Sandra Kaufman is.
Yeah, so you're saying go to the Kaufman protocol. And
I'll never forget when I was at a conference, this is, I think, in 2016. I was walking through an expo at a conference where I was like the keynote speaker, and I was just walking through, and she runs out of her booth, grabs my bag, stuffs her book into my bag, and says, "Read it." And I just walked off and just thought, okay, I don't know what that was about. When I was on the airplane flying back home, I thought, okay, well, what do? I opened up my bag, and there's that book, and I started reading it. And I tell you, I was blown away. I wrote the best book review of ever on any book that I've ever written and put on Amazon.com. And then she heard about it and contacted me, and we've been colleagues ever since.
I was going to say, yeah.
That's why she was on our podcast a few months ago.
Yeah. And she has that energy of like, you will read this book because I ask you to. She has good energy. I like that. Okay. We know about the telomeres, right? And we know about their effects on all the things. But how does supporting mitochondrial efficiency become the deep health engine that also protects and amplifies the long-term benefit of telomere health? Like, give me a little bit more about that.
Okay. Well, I guess I should have said this before, but one of the things that free radicals damage is the telomeres. Okay. That's accelerated telomere shortening is what I call it. So when the free radicals leak out of the mitochondria, they are very good at attacking DNA and breaking the DNA, or at least other processes occur during the repair to break the DNA most often. But the telomeres get shortened at accelerated rate, and that is a great way to accelerate aging. Okay. Now, every cell is different. So you really, that's the other reason why I have a hard time saying that dysfunctional mitochondria cause aging, because you'd have to have that happening in all your cells, not just like 1% of your cells in order to actually have aging. But that can happen in some cases in all your cells if you are leading a very unhealthy lifestyle and stuff like that. But yeah, so one way that healthy mitochondria can maintain healthy telomeres is by not leaking the free radicals. So getting rid of dysfunctional mitochondria helps your telomeres. Keeping telomeres long helps your mitochondria. So it's a two-way street.
Good to know. Okay. Basically all around, like, getting your body right.
Yes.
Is the key. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. So then how does improving mitochondrial health make your cells more resilient against daily wear and tear? Maybe you just answered this. Does resilience translate into better metabolic function and overall longevity optimization?
Yes. I mean, Free
Yeah.
radicals cause damage to all the proteins, all the enzymes,
Yeah.
decreases everything. So free radicals are a good thing too. I mean,
Yeah.
our
That's the
macrophages,
hard part for me is like remind me what a free radical is made of.
it's just a molecule with a negative charge on it. All right, well, a free
Yeah.
radical could be positive charge too, I guess. The example I like here is our macrophages, which are one of the things that keep us from getting bacterial infections and the what do you call it? There's the two different types of immunology, and I'm going blank on what their names are, but acquired and oh shoot, I can't remember the other one. But the other one, whatever it is, macrophages. So when we get like infected by a bacteria or something like that, macrophages, which are cells that float around inside of our blood vessels, will find them and they will shoot free radicals like machine guns
Oh
at
my
these
gosh.
bacteria to kill them. Okay.
That's crazy.
So free radicals are important in some senses, but they do, but you want to have them under control. It's like you don't want to be in an army barracks with machine guns firing everywhere. You want the machine guns only firing at the targets, you know.
Right.
But yeah. So the main thing. Well, see, also since every function in the body requires ATP. Okay.
Yeah.
So every like enzymatic function, all the processes of enzyme practically require ATP. When ATP gets low, everything shuts down. Okay, so you want to keep. So that's another reason. So it causes declining health, and when your body has less energy, you become more susceptible to diseases and more likely to die from something. So keeping your energy levels up is important. And that's why keeping your mitochondria health is so important. There's a lot of studies showing that Parkinson's is correlated with a large buildup of dysfunctional mitochondria. And so I'm sure one of the main things that people are doing to alleviate Parkinson's symptoms is to at least do things like urolithin A and PQQ and Telovital. It's all going to help with mitochondria health, or at least get rid of the dysfunctional mitochondria. Because once it's dysfunctional, it's pretty hard to repair it. You can repair the mitochondria by making a new one, getting rid of the old one, making a new one. And that's what everything that I just mentioned is going to be involved in.
Yeah.
Keeping telomeres long, keeping PGC1 alpha expressed, keeping your PQQ levels up, and keeping your urolithin A up. And then NAD and nicotinamide riboside and things like that become important because those are the substrates used in the processes of generating energy and moving, going from a glucose molecule to water, essentially, and releasing energy.
Why is the conversation within the longevity community moving so rapidly to focus on mitochondrial health right now? And how does this change the way we think about the future of healthy aging? Like, what is this new sort of like revamped excitement about mitochondrial health?
Well, the first part of your question is good marketing. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to do more
on
than
brand,
just
on trend.
focus on mitochondria health, but it's not that, the marketers are correct. We got to maintain our mitochondria health, but we got to do a lot more than just that. Okay.
Yeah.
So there are doctors that will say, I've improved a person's mitochondria, therefore I reverse their aging. Well, that's not true at all. Okay. They've only reversed a biomarker of aging. And
Yeah.
that's, if people watch my videos and stuff like that, you'll hear that I'm always talking about the Betty White test. Okay. You have to, somebody has to pass the Betty White test. I mean, going from looking, feeling, and behaving like you're 85 to looking and feeling and behaving like you're 25. You can't, that's got to be the real, what do you call it? The gauge to how to gauge success in finding a cure for aging. It has to be getting somebody to pass the Betty White test. And nobody has ever come close to passing the Betty White test. But a lot of doctors are saying, well, I increased your energy. I reversed your aging. No. I lengthened your telomeres. I reversed your aging. No. I changed your DNA methylation patterns to a younger type. No, you did not reverse the aging. You only reversed the
No.
biomarkers. And so you have to pass the Betty White test. But so increasing energy is important, but it's
Yeah.
not reversing aging. It's actually just making you healthier. And
Okay. I have a question because I think that like just right now I've had this thought. Does Betty White pass her own test?
well, no, because
Or
she
why is
passed
she
away.
well, right.
Well,
Right. That's
hey,
what I'm
so
like.
Betty White. So this is interesting. Okay, my father was a television producer. He was
Yeah.
the number one game show television producer for 7 straight years with
Yeah.
NBC and ABC and things like that. And so Betty White was common on game shows. Okay.
Yeah.
So Betty White would stay at our house all the time. Okay.
What?
I knew Betty. Oh yeah. Betty White was a good friend of, I taught her how to water ski. I taught her friends how to water ski, things like that. We had houses when my father was a producer. We had houses in Lake Arrowhead and Palm Springs and Oxnard and things. And so my father would always, because these movie stars that would be the celebrities on the game shows, they would come in and film like 5 episodes a day. Okay. They would only be shown like once every other day, but they do 5 episodes a day. And so they had to have a place to stay. So my houses that my father had were a lot better than any hotels. That tell you that.
Oh my
And so
God.
they would all say, I had the cast of Bonanza. I was friends with them. The cast of
What?
Hogan's Heroes, especially Larry Hovis. He was a big friend of ours, mine and my brother's. And Wild Wild West, Robert Conrad, and who the other guy I can't. They were common people. But I would say my favorites were Larry Hovis, Betty White, and Dan Blocker. Okay.
That is insane.
But Betty White, she was always no different than she is on TV, on our film. I mean, she was the most entertaining guest we ever had at our house. All the kids, we were all kids at the time, all of us just loved her because she was nonstop entertaining. And I missed her terribly. But so she and I stayed connected. And when my father passed in 2015, a little over 10 years ago, she and I still stayed connected. She was more interested in me doing something to help her pets, her dogs and stuff like that. So I started working on developing a lot of pet products and hoping
she's just like us.
My dog is sitting behind me here, Dash, and he's so important to me, just like I saw your cat a few times in the video. So Betty White was a good friend. I always wanted her to be the one that walked out on stage and looked, felt, and behaved 25 again, because nobody in the audience would ever say that's not Betty White, because there is nobody else like Betty White. There'll never be
no. I agree.
And but it didn't happen because the research just went slower. And I'm not going to take blame. I think it's the lack of sufficient funding that's been slowing down.
Go back to our episode on funding and why.
Did we do one on that? I forget.
Yeah, I remember we did a whole episode on like why it's hard to get like cures and stuff passed through, and it was all basically every single time I asked you a question, you're like, the answer is funding. Yeah, the answer is funding.
That's why cancer is not cured yet.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
A lot
we
of
talked
things.
about that.
Cancer would be cured by now because I know a lot of cancer doctors, including myself. I was National Inventor of the Year for my cancer research. I know a lot of people that know exactly what to do. They just can't do it because they don't have enough funding.
Yeah. Well, I really feel like you buried the lead on the Betty White thing. Like we've been talking about the Betty White test the entire season, and you're like just holding it in that you taught Betty White to water ski. But how cool. That is so amazing. I love her on Golden Girls. She is like just absolutely perfect, even though her character is irritating.
I don't think I could show her pictures in my talks if I didn't have her permission,
right.
Yeah. So that's the only reason.
That's just never occurred to me that you asked Betty White to her face if you could use her as an example. That's crazy. Wow. Very cool. All right. Let me stop fangirling. Okay. Let's see. How can we as a community simplify the relationship between mitochondrial health, ATP, telomeres and aging so that everyday consumers can speak confidently and enthusiastically about science?
Lengthen your telomeres because that helps your mitochondria stay healthy and
Yes.
make new healthy mitochondria. Take something like urolithin A to help get rid of dysfunctional mitochondria. And then take the other things that substrates that mitochondria need to perform its function. Read Sandra Kaufman's book.
Yeah.
Stay healthy. Exercise. Don't smoke. Don't be obese. That's and
just in general, like try your best to be healthy.
And go talk to those unknown ultra high net worth individuals that are sitting in their lounge chairs in their 1,000,000-acre properties thinking, I can't wait for somebody to cure my aging.
And then not paying for it.
Nobody is working on curing aging. And those ones that can't get the funding that to do it. And so maybe get them out of their chair and start providing some funding to the research, not just aging, cancer, heart disease, dementia,
all the
everything.
Things.
Yes.
Yeah. Just go bully a billionaire.
Yes. The unknown ones, because the known ones, I've talked to all the known ones. They all want, how soon so I get a quick return on my investments? Or how much control do I have? I mean, will you do this instead? That kind of stuff. So it's got to be the unknown ones that really have no motivation except to live longer and spend their money longer.
Right.
And become gazillionaires as a result, because when we have a cure for aging, they're going to be gazillionaires. It's just not going to be as quick a return on investment.
They'll have their whole life to amass wealth and they'll live forever.
Return on humanitarian investment, not just return on financial investment.
Right. Well, Bill, who is the most famous person you have in your phone besides the late Miss Betty White?
There's George Hamilton. Well, George Hamilton is a good friend. Kurt Russell, Goldie Hawn.
Oh my God. I want to be invited to their Christmas.
There are people that I've met with, had lunch, and I'll never forget Goldie Hawn. Well, I shouldn't say what she said to me, but
you can say it.
How much she wants me to cure the aging process.
But
I can't think of who they all are, but I miss a lot of them, like Suzanne Summers. Farrah Fawcett. But those are people that, boy, if we had funding, they could still be alive. They could still be alive and healthy if funding had started going to the right places long time ago.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll get it done in time to save Dick Van Dyke.
I hope so, because
God, I love him.
He's not in my phone log, but I wish he was. And another one who I really want to save is William Shatner. I am still in awe that William Shatner walked up those 7 flights of stairs to get on that space capsule. I mean, it is like unbelievable. I am such a big fan of William Shatner's and Dick Van Dyke's.
And it's incredible.
Sophia Loren, and there's so many superstars. Cher. I mean, you can't get me to stop talking about Cher. Don't get me going.
Cher might pass the Betty White test if we're not careful.
I hope so.
She sort of looks younger every day.
But I miss Michael Jackson. I miss Whitney Houston. I don't ever want to see Miley Cyrus go away. I don't ever want to see Taylor, what's her name? I've gone blank on her last name. Taylor Swift. I'm such big fans of those people. And now my new biggest fan is Brick Grandpa. I don't know if you know who Brick Grandpa is. But,
I have no idea who Brick Grandpa is.
He's the break dancer that is unbelievable. Lots of videos on him. Go to social media and look, or do Google for Brick Grandpa. I mean, I've become his biggest fan.
That is amazing.
I want to see him around forever. And one other one I don't want to, since we're getting onto the subject, is what's his name? David Attenborough. Okay.
Oh yeah. The guy that does all the documentaries.
There are videos where I talk about what a terrible loss it would be to the world to lose David Attenborough, because nobody's going to take the baton. And
not the same way.
They're all going to want to build their own careers and stuff like that. But so the expression that I really love that David Attenborough said was "rewild the world." And it's really important. I think that's what's happening. We're losing species all over the world. I say that we're smarter than evolution right now, but we have lost so many animals because of interaction. And so we need to make a change. And I'm a big fan of David Attenborough's. I'm a big follower, supporter of David Attenborough's. And in one documentary, he used the term, we need to rewild the world. And
I like
that has been something that has stuck on me ever since. And if we lose David Attenborough, we lose a lot. And I don't want to lose David Attenborough. And so I hope that one day see David Attenborough pass the David Attenborough test. And I wish I knew David Attenborough as well as I know Betty White, because he would become the new Betty White test. He'd be calling the David Attenborough test, or William Shatner, one of those two.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love this episode. I thought we just did the most fantastic episode, and what a great way to finish the season.
I know we had a little pop culture corner.
This was fun. We actually partied. We just had a party.
Oh, we had a party. We had our end of season party. Yeah, I agree. Well, listen, thank you so much for hanging out with me during our first season. I hope that everybody can tune in to our pop culture corner with Dr. Bill Andrews. Nobody will believe it. But I just want to say thanks to everybody, to Dr. Bill, to Taylor, producer, and everybody at Walk West. And of course, all of our listeners and viewers and peeps out there for hanging out with us during our first season of Up One.
It was fun. And I can't wait for season 2.
Yeah, it'll be good. All right. Well, Dr. Bell, it's good to see you. And I'll see you next season on Up One.
See you then.
Thanks for joining us on Up One. If you found today's conversation valuable, be sure to subscribe and share this episode with someone who's curious about the real science behind health.
Have a topic you want us to break down? Send us your questions. We're here to help you separate fact from fiction.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and let's keep taking it up one.